Hello everyone. Today I was thinking that we could do some virtual travel through my watercolor sketches from my last vacation. So my husband and I went to Switzerland and we essentially drove all over Switzerland. There were some parts that we missed. We didn't go down into Geneva. We went to a lot of different places and did sort of a circuit, and it just was so amazingly beautiful there and inspirational for doing watercolor. So this is actually the first trip that I've ever been on that I did watercolor sketching on. And after doing it on that trip, I really wish that I had done it for prior trips. And what I plan on doing is going back and making some travel journals based on some pictures that I took on prior travels and doing watercolor sketches from those pictures. And I do plan to share some of that on this YouTube channel, but it might be a while before I get around to that. Even with all of the social distancing, I feel like I don't have a lot of time because I'm still working, but I do have some time occasionally. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go into these. So both of these sketchbooks are Hanemule, I think is how you pronounce it, or Hanemule sketchbooks. They're really high quality paper. I really like the sketchbooks because they're really sturdy. They held up. I mean, these went all over with us, and there's only a little bit of, a few stray marks, but it's really good paper. So that's why I like it. I'm going to go through these in the order in which I did them, or at least I think. I'm going to go through the bigger one first because I did the bigger paintings first. So this first one, we went to Lake Como first. We got off a plane in Zurich, drove all the way down to Lake Como, which was only a 3 or 4 hour drive, but we were both terribly jet lagged, so it probably wasn't the best choice. But this is the first painting that I did on our vacation, and it's in Laglio, Lake Como in Italy. And it was really, really beautiful down there. I really hope we get to do it again. I found quite a few deals. We combined both Airbnbs and hotels, and this was a really, really nice Airbnb that we got that was actually relatively cheap. Switzerland, however, is not cheap. We got super cheap tickets to go. I think it was $350 round trip for each of us, which is crazy. But Switzerland is not a cheap country. Italy is actually fairly inexpensive, so this was an inexpensive part of our trip. But just if you ever want to go to Switzerland, just note that you are going to be spending a lot on pretty much everything. And hopefully people will get a chance to travel again soon. But anyway, so that's the first one. This one, then we actually went to Liechtenstein, which again isn't Switzerland. I apologize. This was in Vaduz. This was kind of our splurge for the trip. Vaduz is also not cheap, but it's beautiful. It's entirely a beautiful country, even though it's so tiny. Basically, it seems like Switzerland on steroids because you get all these beautiful mountain views just about everywhere. And then here is, so this one was later. I'm going to move that down. So this one is also in Vaduz. And then I actually cut one of my paintings out of here because I liked it so much and framed it. Here, I'll see if I can get that into the screen without. Okay. So this painting I also did in Vaduz, and I ended up framing it because I liked it so much. Okay. And then we headed to this little town called Merlischachen, I believe is how you say it. And we stayed in a little Airbnb cottage there that was called the Bee House. And this was our view. This is a big lake, and then they had mountains back behind. And I also did a little watercolor painting in their guest book, which I have a picture of somewhere, but I don't have it handy right now, so maybe I'll show that to you at some point later. And this was a quick pen and ink sketch with a little bit of water to bleed out the ink. And this is again, Merleshashen, this is the water, and then here are all the mountains you could see behind. There were a lot of clouds because we went in the spring, and it actually led to some really nice landscape paintings because you have all these clouds, and then you could see these distant mountains back here in the background, and it was really, really beautiful. Okay, and then this is in Beatenberg, and again, it was really, really beautiful. Basically everywhere we went was really super beautiful. Okay. And then this is in Lauterbrunnen, where a lot of the tourists tend to go because there's a lot of places to go up into the mountains. Like we went up to the top of the Schilthorn when we were there. There's a variety of different mountains that you can go to the top of, but we could only choose one given the expense of going to the top. So we went to the top of the Schilthorn, and in my smaller sketchbook I actually have a sketch of that. Let me open that one next then, so that you can see that. I'm going to close this for a second and actually bookmark this page so we can get back here. All right. Because I took this smaller sketchbook, and here I had a tissue in my book so that I could sop up any water. So I took this little one when we went up because I didn't want to carry around this larger one. And then this is what I did on the top of the Schilthorn. And it was basically that view all the way around of different mountains, and it was incredibly, incredibly beautiful. Actually can get to that one next. So back to this one. So this next one was in Neuchâtel, which is in the French part of Switzerland, or the part of Switzerland where they speak French. And it was on this really beautiful lake. And so I kind of went a little bit more abstracted with this one. Okay. And then this one is also near Beatenberg. I took a picture of this on our way down. We had a hotel on the top of this really windy road. It was basically on the top of this big cliff, which is why we could see all of these mountains from up above, is because we were so high up in the hotel. But when we were driving down on this really windy road, I felt like this windy road almost killed us a couple of times because it was so foggy and there was lots of rain, and when we were up in the fog you could barely see like a few feet in front of you. So and then were these huge buses driving up and down the road, no problems at all, and there's no guardrails. It was pretty scary, but beautiful at the top and totally worth it. So this was on the way down from the mountain there that we were staying in Beatenberg, and it was so foggy and beautiful when I took this picture, and then while we had some downtime later in the trip, I did this painting. Okay, and this is Neuchâtel again. I think I actually did that painting when we were in Neuchâtel because we were trying to kind of take a little break that day. And so that's an abstracted one. Let's see. Okay, so I think the next one is this one, which is from Gruyere. And Gruyere is actually really, really beautiful too. It goes without saying, everywhere in Switzerland is amazingly beautiful. We went up into the little medieval town of Gruyere, and coming down from where that town was, this was the view. And everything was so green and verdant, and here this mountain actually was huge, but you could only see a little bit of it because of the rain and the fog. When we went, it was a really rainy day. I actually don't mind going on vacation on days that are not necessarily the best days, like rain and overcast, because I really like that kind of weather. I mean, if it's downpouring, that's kind of a drag, but if you can just still walk around with an umbrella, it's great. Okay. And then, so this is a sunset in Chardon, which I thought was the most beautiful place we went. I mean, everything is beautiful, but this place was incredibly beautiful. There's a town near here where a lot of celebrities tended to vacation, and we stayed a little bit outside of that, but it was just amazingly beautiful. This was the view from our I think this was actually a bed and breakfast, like a hotel, not an Airbnb. And this was one of the only times that I actually was able to see really nice colors at the sunset. And then this is from the end of our trip, and this was in Zurich. I found Zurich to be a little bit less inspiring just from a nature perspective, but it was still really beautiful and a really neat city. And this, I believe, was also from our hotel, because we were way up above the city of Zurich. Okay, so that's pretty much that trip. In this little book, I actually have taken this out one other time because I only did 2 watercolor paintings in this one. I kind of wanted to use it more. So this was from a hike that we took in Colorado. And I really know I was a little out of my element here doing all these green, verdant landscapes. And here I really had to add some more red to everything because there's so many red colored rocks here in Colorado. So this was just a little pile of rocks here with a little trail up on the top, and then this was a little stream coming through, and we were on a trail that actually, this was sort of the end of where we went, but then you could go down and walk further down. Looks like it was Winegar Ridge, because I did write that on there. Okay, so that's it for those. I really do plan for every future vacation to bring sketchbooks to do watercolor, because I feel like it really makes you slow down and pay attention to the landscape that you're in and enjoying, and I feel like you can enjoy the vacation again and again through these paintings. Yes, I mean, you can also do it through pictures, but I feel like this is a little bit more personal, and you also get to kind of put your own interpretation on the landscape that you're in, because obviously it's not going to look exactly like your pictures or exactly like what you're seeing, but it's fun nonetheless. All right, so that's it for today. I will be back again later, and feel free to like it or subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.